Welcome to another week, another day of trying to get things done real quick before it starts pouring with rain. A lot of the week, at least the early part of this week, is going to be like that. Today is another day, a bit like Saturday last week, of bitty things, which includes, although it's not optimal, mowing the Mr Darcy walk for the first time this spring. Doing a bit of work on the deciduous tree walk, removing some of the regrowth bracken. And trimming along the back lawn, taking down the tea tree regrowth. You will have seen me mowing away merrily down here at the Mr Darcy walk, but what you won't have seen is that before I do that, I usually have to clear away a lot of this debris which has accumulated since the last time I mowed. These trees just can't help but losing parts of themselves, and it's very unpleasant. Although the mower can mow over this, it's very unpleasant. It shoots out chips at 1,000,000 miles an hour, and there are also little bits of stone that somehow come to the surface where there wasn't stone last year. Anyway, I will clear this and move on to the next thing. As you will have seen, this is the second project on my agenda for today. If I spin round, just to give you some geography. That's the house, the orchard. You might be able to hear Will working away in his workshop. Our main lawn, and then this is the deciduous tree walk. You can maybe just make out the footpath there. You can have a quick look if you like. By the way, aren't these little flowers pretty? If I get down there to the ground, this carpet of these little blue flowers, violets or something like that, I think. If they're native and I can find them, I'll put the name up for you. And then I've got some bluebells, and this is the liquid amber just springing into life. This is always a very small tree, but it's growing away quite nicely. This beats the claret ash. Survived its first winter. Looking lovely, it's now taller than me. And this is the pin oak. Again, just springing into life. The pin oak's about the last tree to go, and I always thought ash trees were quite late. But you can see it's starting to, the buds are starting to swell. Both the pin oak and the claret ash we specifically bought, not only because they've got beautiful autumn colour, but because they're very fast growing. The liquid amber also has beautiful autumn colour, but I'm not sure if it's as fast at growing. Anyway, you will have seen what I was doing down here is taking out some of this new growth bracken, primarily just to try and keep this a bit clearer, but also because it goes very nicely in my compost. Look at this, isn't this pretty? It's coming across quite white on the camera, but in real life it's lovely yellow. Isn't this really pretty? bell-shaped flowers. They're only very small, size of my thumbnail. If it's native and I can find out what it is, I'll let you know. And then similarly behind it, there's this plant with these really cool blue flowers. Sort of blue purple. Looks like a little vine of some sort. Flowers haven't really opened yet, so I don't know if I'll be able to identify that for you. As I've said before, that's one of the reasons I like working on a property as much as I can by hand, because I like the slow pace and I like taking the time to notice, the time it affords you to notice little things like that. I seriously need to do work on here. This is the other side of the autumn colour walk. That's the drive in the house, so the path comes out there. A lot of this regrowth, it didn't look like this before the fire. It was quite a clear area, mostly filled with tea tree, but clearer than this. Gonna have to do something to keep this under control. Anyway, it's for another time. I'm now at the lawn to the side of the house, so that's the house there obviously. These are those new trees I planted, and then behind me is our fence line and the state forest beyond. As you will have seen, this is my last task for this morning. This is where I can mow up to. And then past there there's a bank of tea tree and rock, and it's very uneven, and possibly a better mower than mine could cope with that, but mine can't. So I manage this a few times a year with my trusty strimmer. So basically just taking the tea tree back. As I've mentioned before, I don't want to kill it. This area is prone to landslides, and I just can't help but feel this is helping keep this bank in place, but it does need to be controlled, and so that's why I'm strewing it today. Slightly different angle, but there we go. Not sure if you can tell the difference, but this is the bit I trimmed and this is the bit I mow. And I went all the way along this bank and then around the tank, which is an important piece of infrastructure. And again, this is all about maintaining a certain aesthetic quality to the property, but protecting it against bushfire. By the way, just a quick update of something that I filmed 3 or 4 weeks ago now, if you saw it, those strange caterpillar-like insects. I've been asked, most particularly by my nan, but I've been asked if I knew what they are. I think that they might be sawfly larvae. They look very much like it if you search for images of sawfly larvae. A sawfly is, I gather, a type of wasp. I think that's what they are. I might be wrong. If you know any better, please let me know. I'm genuinely interested. But for anyone else who might have wondered, I think that's what they were. Welcome to a soggy Tuesday. It's quite trying fitting projects in between rain showers, and it's not a very nice day today. It's stopped raining and there's a very good chance it'll rain again soon, so I'm taking the opportunity to quickly go and do some tree felling and wood processing. It's quite bad, this rain and the floods in other parts of the country. It's not so bad here, but it just makes life so tricky and difficult. I'm just going to go and finish taking the last of the remaining trees down at the pond walk over there. I've loaded up my car. I think what I'll do is I've been sort of jumping the little stream to our pond but it's going to be so unbearably slippy there. What I think I'll do is I'll drive my car up to the Mr Darcy walk and just drag the wood I want to process into my car, and then drive my car to my wood processing area. Try and keep as dry as I can and try and get this done as fast as I can, because I am not trusting this guy. Here I am at my first victim. That's the Mr Darcy walk, that's our neighbour's orchard. I've pulled up there. Hopefully this will make it a bit more convenient. And then just for some more context, that's the pond. You can go have a quick look. This is like the back entrance to the pond. See this regrowth. There we go. Back up to maximum capacity. It hasn't quite stopped raining, but this might be as good as it's going to get today, so seize my opportunities. So I mustn't linger, but there's just a couple more here, and then the work on clearing the dead trees on the pond walk is done. I actually took up quite a lot of trees in the end, but it's one of those things where there's just so many more live than dead. You'd hardly notice, so I quite like that. Anyway, time to crack on. Just to show you quickly, this is what I was trying to avoid. The little rivulet which comes down this gully, crosses the pond walk footpath, and then discharges into our pond. It's not a raging torrent as such, but the ground is just so sticky and slippery, and it just quickly becomes unpleasant, so I thought I'll give that a break and take it down the Mr Darcy walk, and that's actually works very nicely. I've taken the remaining trees down. Now I'm going to load up my car and crack on with processing them quickly. Here's the haul. I know it could look quite meagre, but I know from experience there's actually more wood there than there appears to be. And also remember, we're now deep into spring, and the days are keeping the range going 24 hours a day away behind us. I may stop putting wood on the range at around about lunchtime or early afternoon if it's a bit chilly. That's just to keep the house warm. It can be cold in the mornings, mostly to keep us in hot water, but also I don't want to go to too late in the evening, because then it makes sleeping at night pretty intolerable. I am off to process this now. That all went lovely. Just to finish up, that was the first time I had used a chainsaw since I had sharpened it using the file rather than the timberline. I think I put a link to the tutorial I followed in last week's film, but it made such a difference. I mean, I know that's obvious, but really, if you have a chainsaw, I can't urge you strongly enough to keep it sharp. I was absolutely chewing through batteries, and I did all that chainsawing and went through half of one battery. So I think it's much better for the batteries, much better for the chain, much better for the chainsaw in general, actually regardless of whether or not yours is battery or fossil fuel powered. It's just better in general. So I'll give that a sharpen, and then that's that done. I did buy online a chain sharpening file guide. I currently don't have one of those. That does two things. It helps you make sure that your angles are correct. This is a 25-degree angle chain. But also it helps to make sure that the depth's correct. I'm pretty good, I think, at making sure the angle's alright, but the depth I'm not so sure about. sorry, that's the Currawong, because I've never sort of done the sharpening freehand before. So it may be that I only need to use that for a while till I get to know what I'm doing, but nevertheless I thought it would be useful to have, not very expensive. So I just have to wait for that to arrive. Until then I'll be doing it manually. This is the offending bird. Woo! It's an adult and currently has either eggs or chicks on its nest. They're actually not supposed to stay down here at this sort of altitude at this time of year, but I think because we feed them we have a resident pair. So it's demanding that I give it some biscuit so it can take it back to either its partner on the eggs or its chicks in the nest. So I better get on and do that, and I'll catch up with you later.